Did you know that Eastleigh was actually named after a town in Hampshire, England? Hello great people, African traveler again. Today is a beautiful day and we're going to explore a community called the Somali influence in Nairobi. If you didn't watch our last video on the Chinese influence in Nairobi, click on the link above and go and watch. So this is part of the journey in discovering the different communities and cultures in Nairobi that are changing the dynamics in Nairobi. And the Somali community over the last 2 decades have had quite a tremendous influence in the city, and we're going to delve inside as well as diving into some of their most common neighborhoods and the business they delve in. And some of these neighborhoods include Eastleigh, which is the king, also known as Little Mogadishu. We have South C, we have Pangani, and we also have South B. So let's delve in, and we'll start with Eastleigh. So Eastleigh Estate in Nairobi is named after a coastal town in Hampshire, England, around 120 kilometers south of London. The English Eastleigh lies between Southampton and Winchester. The name derives from East and Leigh, the latter being Old English for meadow. Eastleigh therefore basically means the meadow in the east. Meadow is an open habitat of field vegetated by grasses, herbs, and other non-woodly plants. So on the Eastleigh side, quite extensive. See how high these apartments look. It's crazy. Eastleigh, also known as the Little Mogadishu. Wow. This place is quite mind-blowing. Just see. Every turn you make, it's just high-rise apartments, high-rise after high-rise. And we had small-sized buildings. Let's go check this side. Just see this mess. I think it's a joke. Just like that, Eastleigh became a high middle class residential area. Despite all this mess you see, the rent here is not cheap. Ouch! The roads actually don't equate to what we see. Everywhere you go, it's just high rise. Today, however, Nairobi Eastleigh has evolved into a vibrant, multicultural Somali trade hub, charting its own course and resisting the British colonial influence. Historians note that Eastleigh was originally established by colonial administration as a residential area for Asians and Africans whom were employed as clerks, builders, and shoemakers. As other towns and neighborhoods adopted British-style urban planning, school curricula, and architectural aesthetics, Eastleigh took a different path. Its rapid development has been shaped by commercial demand and population pressure, resulting in a dense, mixed-use buildings that prioritize functions over form. Most buildings in Eastleigh are boxy, with flat roofs, often used as storage, narrow balconies, and little decorative details. Yet, due to the strong influence of the Somali community, Islamic architectural elements like arched windows, doorways, and rooftop terrace are visible in many mosques and home high-rise buildings. A construction boom in the recent years has drastically altered Eastleigh's skyline, with high-rise buildings rising quickly to meet the area's commercial needs. What began as a residential neighborhood has transformed into a thriving economic hub, drawing traders and suppliers from across Kenya and beyond.
Are you ready to explore like never before? Book with Hikers Afrique safaris for personalized adventure and travel experience across Kenya, Africa, and beyond. Hike Mount Kenya or Kilimanjaro, experience exciting safaris in the Masai Mara, Amboseli, and Serengeti. Stay in luxury or mid-range eco lodges designed just for you. Get unimaginable exclusive deals to Kenya's top destinations like Watamu, Diani, Mombasa, Nakuru, Lamu, Naivasha, Savo, Samburu, Taita Hills, and more. Embark on an 18-day overland odyssey through 7 countries from Victoria Falls to Cape Town. Unplug, connect with nature, and make lifelong memories. Your adventure of a lifetime starts now with Hikers Afrique Safaris. Get in touch with us via the contact information on your screens.
And it's not funny, but most of the apartments you see built by Somalis, a good number of them are specifically for the Somali community. If you're from other religion, if you're from other communities, not even a religion, because we have local Muslims in Kenya, but specifically for the Somali community. And it's also vice versa. In some of the many neighborhoods, sometimes they don't give them accommodation. They'll be like, you're Somali? No. Especially because of the fact that most of them stay in with a bigger family, which sometimes cause a lot of damage to the house. So good thing they have very rich Somalis as well, brothers and sisters, who build for them as well. Just see everywhere you go, every corner you take. You can imagine the population, the infrastructure you see, I don't know, you can never handle it. The schools, the amenities, the social amenities that is needed to cater for this population is non-existent. See what guys are building. Huge, huge, huge structures. And this is the residential areas. So we're going to the commercial area. We're going to see a different dynamic as well. And there's a lot of gyms coming up every side. So it's that's a very positive thing. You can see there's a gym here. This is not the first one I'm saying. This is not the first one I say. Its influence now extends far beyond its official border thanks to massive economic footprint locally pronounced as Eastleigh. Unlike other areas striving to reclaim identity by renaming streets and buildings, Eastleigh has organically shared its colonial legacy by transforming the meaning and sound of its name through everyday use and cultural influence. Eastleigh's rise in Kenya transformed from a very quiet colonial era, which was a residential suburb, into a vibrant, self-sufficient, Somali-led economic powerhouse, earning its nickname Little Mogadishu, driven by investments from the Somali community. There's one called Moratina Heights. So for those who don't know, Moratina is a Kikuyu traditional liquor. Let's see this. Look at this, and the garbage, the dust, and the drainage here. The trench is too big. See the garbage on the road, man. And these are just things that government needs to adapt very fast, because investors are here, investing in a massive way, but the infrastructure progress is quite slow. Wow. Just see everywhere. just green tents everywhere. Driving here, you don't need a driving license only. You need grace and patience, because it can be chaotic, very chaotic. Need a lot of soberness. I don't understand how we don't have data to show the number. Okay, we only know the buildings above maybe 30 floors. You can really count them in Nairobi, but I think there need to be within the government agency or the county government, an agency where they keep track of the number of number of buildings past maybe 5 floors, 10 floors, because you can see it will get to show a very huge change in terms of how Nairobi has changed in the recent past. It developed into a major wholesale and import hub for goods from Dubai, China, and Turkey, leading to rapid real estate development with modern multi-story buildings. This created a bustling commercial center and a self-sufficient city within a city, where residents access most essential services from banks to hospitals without needing to travel. Nairobi's city center. Eastleigh's continuous growth symbolizes progress, with its towering structures and dynamic atmosphere define its unique identity. Eastleigh's infrastructure is undergoing significant upgrade if you compare what you see right now versus even 10 years ago. As much as there's still a lot of chaotic, there's a huge change. And the ongoing upgrades is to address challenges from rapid population growth, with ongoing projects focusing on road rehabilitation, upgrading sewer system, and improving water supply and drainage. Major roads like the First Avenue, Second Avenue are being improved, while older undersized sewer pipes are being replaced with larger ones to prevent leaks and handle increased demand. Authorities are working to modernize the infrastructure, support the area's booming population, and contribution to the economy. So on the side is more of Madare, this is how the buildings were on the left, how the how the left looks. And I'm sure this is just a number of years, all these structures you see will be down and leave room for these high-rise premium apartments that you see. As they say, money talks. So let's now take a turn to the commercial area. Eastleigh's commercial area. So this is Eastleigh First Avenue. This is purely commercial area, and this is where this is mostly commercial area, and this is where the transformation of Eastleigh started. With few malls, they gave more room to more malls, and right now, to some extent, is a city by itself. The little Mogadishu. Most of this building, you'll find a lot of mixed items being sold: shoes, textile, materials, and to some extent you'll find in some of the malls there's a bit of specialization. Some focus on shoes, some focus on materials, some focus on, you know, textile or women wear. We also have some focusing on African prints. And it's crazy. And the next street on my right and the next street on my left, after what you see here, is also commercial area. So we used to have only one, but commercial areas have progressed to the next neighborhoods, to the next streets, sorry. If you want to explore this area, the best day to come or visit is on Friday, I was told, when most of them are headed to mosque for prayers. So if you're coming to buy, any day of the week is great, apart from Fridays. Probably to some extent Sunday, but mostly Friday. But if you want to explore, Friday is the best. And Eastleigh need a full transformation. I don't know how you can think of transforming this area to be easily accessible. But it's like a local market. This is a market actually. A big, huge market. And the funny thing is, people come from all the way from Rwanda, Congo, Burundi, Tanzania, Uganda. A lot of East Africa come to buy here because most of the trade here is wholesale. It deals with wholesale business. And also the whole of Kenya comes here for the same. Yeah, still a lot to be done. It's still very far from what we hope to see Eastleigh one day. And there's a lot of ideas needs to be put on the table to transform the area into a little Dubai, not only Mogadishu. So, strength from the population growth. Eastleigh rapid and often unplanned population growth has significantly outstripped the capacity of its existing infrastructure, leading to challenges. So, there's a need to modernization. Expert and residential are calling for modernization of outdated water, sewer, and drainage system to meet the demand of the growing population, according to the Eastleigh Voice. So it feels like we're in a parking spot, you know? Crazy. The other thing is that most of the cabs used mostly in this area is not your regular Uber. It's not your regular Uber or Bolt. It's called Farasi. Aye. Very crazy type of driving in this area. So this is the kind of jam you should try as much as possible to avoid. Yeah. Also the area where buses or travelers heading to the northeastern Kenya, where we have the Kenyan Somalis, normally also book their buses. So this is very convenient for them because it's very strategic. Most of them will find it easier to access. Man, I told you guys you need to have faith to drive on these roads because it's crazy. It's just like driving in a typical African market. So the most efficient way to maneuver Eastleigh, it's either you come with a matatu and maneuver with a boda or walking. Because driving, it's, as you can see, it's crazy. I think this is the toughest part of Nairobi in terms of driving. It's basically a slightly modern African market, traditional. Soko imeomoka. So some of the major malls in the area, and notable one is the Business Bay Mall, which is the biggest mall in Eastern Central Africa. So the BBS Mall, also known as Business Bay Square, is a large shopping center in Eastleigh area of Nairobi, Kenya. Opened in 2024, it is considered to be one of the largest malls in Eastern Central Africa. And some of the key features: the mall has an expansive area of 1,130 square meters. It is situated in the business hub of Eastleigh on General Warwinge streets. Actually, some part of Eastleigh border Kenya Air Force, and what you'll realize as you traverse Eastleigh, most of the names are named after most of the majors in the military in the prior years. So BBS Mall houses over 1,000 stores, including a diverse range of shops, banks, and other businesses. We have the mall offer a variety of entertainment options and is home to different eateries. A lot of shops offering different type of electronic, clothes, and major brands like Carrefour, Elsewhere Kiki, Art Cafe, among others. So before we go to the next neighborhood featuring a Somali community in Nairobi, let's delve in and get some understanding of the Somalis in Kenya, and especially within Nairobi. In the 2009 population census, it was projected that in 2 decades, Somalis will have overtaken the top 3 largest community in Kenya to be the most populous group if the then population trends remain the same. This household survey showed that the Somalis are at least 1.5 times bigger than the average household in Kenya, and twice as much as the families in Nyeri, Nairobi, Mombasa, and Kiambu counties. Population growth in the northern easterns rose almost 3-fold, from 900,000 in 1999 to 2.3 million in 2009. In Mandera, where the population boom was most pronounced, the number had quadrupled in a decade. The explosion of the Somali population caused tension in 2009 census. Some of the results of the census, especially that covered northeastern region, which is predominantly Somali region in Kenya, were partially cancelled by the then Planning Minister Wycliffe Oparanya. The minister's reasons were that the number from northeast region did not fit the normal population trends. The region inflated their numbers to benefit from increased allocation of resources after devolution. The 2019 Kenya population and housing census had a different dynamic. So Kenya, we do run our population census every 10 years. And in 2019, the Somali population in Kenya was 2.7 million. It was quite realistic versus the previous year. The figure made the Somali community the 6th largest ethnic group in Kenya at that time. Kenyan Somalis are citizens and residents of Kenya who are of Somali ethnic descent. They are the 6th largest ethnic group and have historically inhabited the northeastern province, previously part of the Northern Frontier District. So let's delve in to understand what is making the Somalis thrive in the country, and especially in Nairobi, among other major cities like Nakuru and Mombasa, not forgetting Kisumu and Eldoret. The system of trust on which the Somali business community operates is perhaps best exemplified in Hawala. So Hawala is a unique system of money transfers based on trust rather than on formal law or contracts that is operative throughout the Somali diaspora. Remittance from abroad sent via Hawala have further generated Somali diaspora trust-based business partnership. Trust relationships have superseded clan and lineage relationships. As is evident in the incorporation of Somali businesses in the global Islamic business network, many Somali commercial ventures are linked to businesses in the Gulf, noting that faith-based trust is a gateway to greater business opportunities from the wider Islamic world. As a result, there is a trend towards traders valuing Islamic identity over clan identity. Trust is perceived as an important element of Islamic character, so that a person regarded as a devout Muslim is also regarded as trustworthy. Kenyan Somalis are citizens and residents of Kenya who are of Somali ethnic descent. They're the 6th largest ethnic group and have historically inhabited the northern province. So there's a neighborhood in Nairobi that has very high Somali influence as Somali population and has greatly changed over the last few years. It's called South C. And let's delve into a bit of the history of South C. South C, or South Canton, during the colonial times, it was called South Canton. Did you know that? It's an upper-class residential estate located in the Southland area of Nairobi. South C lies next to Wilson Airport. It is bordered by South B to the northeast, Langata Estate to the west, and the Nairobi National Park to the south. South C is a large, vibrant residential estate in the Southlands of Nairobi, Kenya, originally developed during the colonial era for the Asian community as well. It is now a multicultural area with residents from various backgrounds. It is known for its convenient location and proximity to the Nairobi National Park. Colonial era between 1956 and 1957, South Sea was allocated by the colonial government for the Asian settlement who were not allowed in exclusive European areas. At the time, it was envisioned as an upmarket neighborhood with spacious bungalows and limited development. So this is South Sea. As you can see, there's a lot of apartments coming. The small house on the right are giving way for the high-rise apartments, and with that you can also see the infrastructure. The horizontal infrastructure is straining. There's a lot of wear and tear, and yeah, that is the advantage and disadvantage of such residential units. It hosts a lot of people in such a small area, but the government needs to be on toes in delivering its promise, or in adapting to the changing skyline. You can see the damage on the road, and this is also caused with this is normally also caused with lack of drainage, as well as heavy trucks using such roads, because all these buildings there's a lot of extraction of the existing infrastructure, as well as materials being brought to construct and build such houses. The Somalis have really taken, and the Somali community is really dominating this place, as I mentioned. I wish the government was as fast in terms of maintaining the roads, infrastructure, as the community is fast in terms of building. There's a lot of structures coming up still, so it means that it's just the beginning. And on this side, what I can say as well is the Somalis who stay here have a bit of some cash flow, you know. In recent decades, South Sea has experienced significant population growth and increased high-rise construction, altering its original landscape of a single and double-story homes. There's also a lot of institutions around South Sea, and this is where you'll find a lot of government institutions such as Kenya Environmental Management Authority, Kenya National Bureau of Standards. You'll find the Kenya Red Cross Society headquarters is also here. We also have educational institutions such as the Management University of Africa, Total Training Academy. We also have notable healthcare facilities such as Nairobi South Hospital, Healthway Medical Center. We also have some of the very nice 3 to 5-star hotels around South Sea, including the Bowman, Ole Sereni, and La Maison Royale. High rises coming up like crazy. And those who knew South Sea since the days of Isa, if they come here, they will be surprised. It's a totally different area. It is the same case as Eastleigh. As soon as the high rise starts, there's no end to it. So the government rather brace itself for this and avail the important infrastructure as soon as possible. Salam School. Because the money being promised is sometimes quite high, beyond reasonable, and that's why they are making a lot. They're maximizing. So one of the reasons why the high rise are coming up is the Somalis normally pay a very hefty price, a very high price, to convince you to give them the property. And whenever they get the property, they have to build something major. And that is one of the reasons why Nairobi skyline is changing very fast, because of the cost of land. It's quite high. So any land acquired, you have to maximize on the structures that you put so that you can gain your return on investments. Residents have access to a variety of shopping options from smaller community centers to large malls on Mombasa Road, Next Gen Mall, Capital Center, South Sea Shopping Center. South Sea produced some of the notable Kenyan musicians, including Nameless and the late Issa. The late Issa was like a Tupac of the Kenyan hip-hop music. He was one of the masterminds behind hip-hop music breaking the airwave to the larger audience through the radio. He died at a very young age. It will always be known that Nameless, Issa, and Big Pin, Corrupt, among others, were all living at that time in South Sea. So I would say it was among the areas that had a very huge influence on the Kenyan music industry. The most visible aspect of South Sea rise is proliferation of new modern high-rise apartment buildings, replacing the older structures. So this construction boom is a direct response to the high demand for housing in Nairobi, which the suburbs is well positioned to meet. South Sea benefits from its centrality with convenient access to major roads, including the Nairobi Expressway, making it attractive residential and investment area. New development often feature amenities like security system, backup generators, elevators, and commercial spaces, enhancing convenience for residents. And most of these apartments are coming up predominantly built and owned by Somalis. The rapid and sometimes haphazard development has strained local resources, particularly stormwater drainage system. It always floods around this area. From Nairobi, where South Sea, it's usually a mess. The shift from older buildings to high-rise apartments has significantly altered the landscape of the area. The rapid influx of construction and new residents has led to disruption within the community overall trend. South Sea is increasingly becoming a key location for real estate investors looking to capitalize on Nairobi's growing housing market. The area is undergoing a transformation into a more modern residential and lifestyle hub, offering a combination of residential and commercial space. The changes in South Sea are ongoing, with new projects continuously being introduced to meet the evolving needs of the Nairobi population. We shall also go to see South Sea, South B, where we also have almost the same dynamic as South Sea, Eastleigh. And it's also a very strong Somali community living area. So we shall also go and explore and see just the other side of the road. So South Sea and South B are just separated with the Mombasa Road or the expressway. Not the full section, but part of it. Part of Mombasa Road or part of expressway. One side is South Sea, one side is South B. South Sea is slightly higher middle class compared to South B. But I'm gonna leave that for you guys to judge. And what you can see on the right now is expressway. But we're on Mombasa Road. And there's still more structures coming along Mombasa Road for your information. So the other residential area is quite mixed. There is also a high proliferation of the Somalis also moving to South B, which is just opposite South Sea. In brief, South B is a large middle-class residential area and a commercial area in Nairobi, Kenya, known for its strategic location, diverse population, and affordability. It is one of the major estates in the city, situated just about 3 kilometers southeast of the central business district, very close to Nairobi CBD and also the industrial area. South B's history is intertwined with Nairobi's post-colonial urban expansion. The estate was developed to provide housing for the city's growing middle class. Over the years, it has continued to undergo infrastructure and real estate development, with its roads generally being quite better than most estates, but it's quite worse than South Sea. Very, very similar to South Sea. All the new structures coming up, pretty much the same size, the same height. Probably the same rent. And some of these structures are B&Bs because of the strategic location. So it's very close to the airport, very close to the city center and Westlands, thanks to expressway, guys. You can see large structures giving way, small structures giving way for the large high-rise apartments. So South B, in the coming years, it seems like it will have the same dynamic as South C. The number of apartments coming up in South B are almost similar to what is coming in South C. South C is always known to be a slightly higher class compared to South B. But in the coming decade, I quite see the whole area will resemble each other completely. And these views can be greatly seen as you traverse the area, especially via expressway. You can see the huge transformation that is changing the skyline of South C and South B. Center really gotten dirty, yeah? Where's the county? Where's the county government? So this is the shopping center. This is where people come and buy goods and services, where you find supermarkets. Used to be very clean. No longer the same. So South C, South B both have shopping center, whereby you used to have mansionettes around the area. Then you come to the shopping center where you find all the facilities that you need. But with the videos, with the rounds that we've been taking, you can see there's a major change. There's a huge change that is happening. More shops are found within some of the major apartments that you find across. I find South B way dirtier. South C, as much as the infrastructure is deteriorating, there's a bit of cleanness and quite some good footpath for pedestrians. And there's also a bit of balance between Somali and the local communities. And there's a bit of balance between Somalis and other communities from Kenya. It cuts across. You can see this area completely changed. You also have the same problem of infrastructure. Anywhere you see high-rise apartments, the roads are quite something. I hope with time they'll be fixed. Last but not least, the other neighborhood heavily influenced by the recent Somali investment in the country is Pangani. Pangani is a suburb in Nairobi. It is one of the oldest estates in Nairobi and is located approximately 4 kilometers or 2.5 miles by road northeast of Nairobi Central Business District. Pangani traditionally had a large Asian population. One of the most common factors that you realize is Somalis are predominantly occupying areas near the city center, as well as areas that were predominantly Asian during the colonial time. So Pangani traditionally had a large Asian population who have mostly either migrated to move to a more upmarket area of Westlands and Parklands. It borders Muthaiga to the north, Ngara to the west, Eastleigh to the east, and Pumwani to the south. Pangani is experiencing a significant rise as a result of rapid urban development, driven by its proximity to Nairobi CBD, the implementation of Pangani affordable housing project, and other residential construction. So let's go to our next destination, Pangani. Pangani is also an area where most Somali community love to stay. And yeah, we're gonna explore it as well. And you're gonna see the same dynamic of high-rise apartments. So Somalis watching this, please let us know what is this love with high-rise apartments everywhere. Very high-rise apartments. See the number of apartments rising in this area. the same community, mostly, not all of them. Especially the new apartments coming up are mostly owned and built by the Somali community or investors. Going up to 15 floors. Factors driving the rise of Pangani is proximity to the Nairobi Central Business District and other key areas like Westlands, Kilimani make it desirable location for both commercial and residential purposes. We also have the Pangani Affordable Housing Project is a major development that is renewing the estate with modern and affordable housing units. The area's growing business activity and population are attracting developers who are putting up modern and relative affordable apartments to cater for the market. Some of the slight reason is also upgrade of infrastructure including roads, drainage further enhances the area accessibility and livability. Still a long way to go. Wow, just look at that garbage on the road. And Pangani used to have low-rise apartments, but right now they're giving way to very highly raised apartments, as you can see. Pangani is also known to host a lot of Ethiopians. So there's also a lot of Ethiopians here, Eritreans. Ethiopians and Eritreans also occupy this neighborhood. More buildings still rising. Just look at that. Waste disposal is a big problem in this side as well, like Eastleigh. Slightly better in South C, much better in South C, slightly better in South B, worse in Eastleigh, and quite bad in Pangani. Just see the number of apartments coming up. I just love the blend of other Kenyans, Somalis, Ethiopians, Eritreans in these neighborhoods. Just a mix of culture. Just look at that. This area. Just see the number of high-rise in this area. High-rise apartments. What are the major impact of all this? So the most visible change is the proliferation of the high-rise apartment buildings, which are gradually replacing older low-rise structures. So there is an increased demand for housing, leading to a tight rental market and a rising rental price in the area. The parking is a menace, as you can see. Pangani is a place where I had my first injera. And yeah, we have the same dynamic of poor roads, infrastructure, high-rise apartment. So on this side, my first injera, I don't know if it was Eritrean or Ethiopian, but yeah, you know, Ethiopia is a big country, bigger country, and because of that, they take a lot of the credits. But I think they both share injera. The other point is gentrification. So the influx of higher class residents and investors may be causing gentrification, which could lead to increased property values and potentially displace long-term lower income residents. The advantage of living in Nairobi, you don't have to go to Ethiopia or Somali or Eritrea to see the women. You have just neighborhood where you can have an understanding of how they feel. understanding their culture as well, their coffee, all in Nairobi. And the Ethiopian side is that majority of them are on this side, as well as some part of Kilimani. Just see the humongous size of this apartment. It's mind-blowing. Been able to count almost 17 floors. See how the old apartments are giving way for the new high modern rise apartments. We have the same characteristics: high population density. So the other downside as well is residents have raised concern about the safety due to the extensive construction, with incidents of falling debris occurring. So gentrification is the process whereby the character of a poor urban area is changed by the wealthier people moving in, improving housing and attracting new businesses, often displacing current inhabitants in the process. So that is very common in Nairobi. The impact of Somali investment in Nairobi and the country at large is quite significant, especially in the last 2 decades. And Somalis have made a name for themselves in the country, and the future is quite bright for them. What I can say on my side is that it's quite an advantage for the country to find itself in this position, because these are quite honest and legit investors who are shaping the landscape of our country in a great way. There's a lot of things that the government needs to put a hand on in terms of catching up with the investors that are pouring in their money here. There's quite a huge Somali diaspora all over the world, and it's quite a favor that Kenya happens to attract majority of them due to the instability in Somalia. And this is also what I can say is I hope one day the country of Somalia will have the peace that it deserves, because the Somalis are heavy on investment, and this can also change their country in bigger and better ways than we can imagine. And all this does not come without issues associated with Somalis, such as the insecurity, the major terror groups such as Al-Shabaab that affected the country some years back. We also have some fights still ongoing in some areas such as Mandera, and that is a challenge that Kenya always try to balance out, as our borders are porous and there's a lot that can begut the country if we don't tread carefully in terms of aligning our security apparatus and also working to stabilize the country of Somalia in the best way possible. And from my observation is that also Somalis communities have seen a bit of change in the recent past, but there's still a long way to go in terms of integration with Kenyans. And this is something that can cause a lot of issues in the coming years. And what I can say is there's a lot of Kenyans who, the reason why Somalis are investing here is because we have a lot of openness. Most of the Somalia is Muslim, and in Kenya we have 80% Christian, 20% Muslim. And this is not a religious view, but the fact that Somali money mostly revolves around Somalis before it comes to any Christian may cause an issue in future from my observation. And the thing is, I hope in the way the Christians accept the Somalis can also accept the Christians in the way of working in unison to support each other. Why am I saying this? So in a way, Somalis operate like the Jews. Their money revolves around their community. And this has led to a lot of people, also especially Kenyans, converting to Islam just to fit in and also work together. This is because it makes easier for them to get, businesses. And this is something that I hope can be reversed in future, because Kenya is 80% Christians, 20% Muslim and other religion. And the way Christians have embraced the Somalis in terms of supporting their business, I can say majority of these businesses are being propelled by the normal Kenyans in terms of buying, selling, and apart from Kenya, we also have a lot of businessmen and women coming to Eastleigh and other parts of Nairobi from the different larger East Africa community. But the aspect of Somali only embracing more of people from the same community especially is something that I hope in future would get to change, because for a nation to be stronger, we need to have some more openness. And what I can give you an example is we have things like Uber, Bolt, which are the most common in Nairobi, but that you know, around Somali community area, the most used cab is called Farasi because it's owned by a Somali, so it's from their community. We have the same thing as, right now the business of selling distribution of meat to butcheries and different places is owned by Somalis because it has to be halal. And Kenyans have embraced a lot of the Somali way of life in terms of accepting the religion perspective. If you're only using things by people from your community and you're benefiting from people from other community, there has to be a middle ground in where we meet. And this is things I can give a million example of how such things work. And it also begs the question, because in Kenyan, in Nairobi particularly, you find most of the Somalis, they put away their clan aspect of business. But when you go to their region, there's a lot of upheavals, especially in the northeastern Kenya, in terms, especially during election, there's a lot of clanism, fight and clashes. And this also may be the reason why you have still a long way to see Somalia being stable as an economy. Because if you picture this, that now that the Somalis are in their country and they can't agree and they can't prosper as much, is because now that there's no Christians to support our business, we only support business within our clans. And this affects a lot integration into communities. And this is something that I hope and pray that with time things can change this perspective, the Somali community, and we grow as a nation. And you can see what happens in Israel because of the same kind of segregation. You take ours, we don't take yours. And if we have to take yours, we have to be the ones distributing it because our religion say it has to be this particular way. And this can also be, you've seen Mira, the cut. Majority of the consumers also from Northeastern. The majority of the distributors also now more and more becoming Somali. In as much as their very entrepreneurship skill is high, there's a high need to have an integration aspect in terms of relating to the normal Kenyans. So that's the bit I can give today, and I hope please don't sum my conversation to the last bit. It's just an observation as we hope to see the country progress. We hope to see the skyline of this city grow. We hope to see more investment from Somalis in Kenya, and we see their fortune, and we get to learn a lot from the Somali community in the way they run their businesses, because things like Hawala in Kenya is a big issue, especially to Christians. And as we hope to see a peaceful Somali in future and more integration in terms of East African community with the Somali nation. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I hope you guys can share your feedback on what other community we can feature. If you didn't watch our last video on the Chinese, please have a view. And peace out. Have a good time. Have a good evening. Have a good night. Have a good morning wherever you are. Thank you.